Hello YouTube, welcome back. I'm your host Logan Albright, and today I have something a little bit different for you. I'm doing a book review, but I'm doing a book review of a book that I wrote, so that's pretty exciting. You may be able to see it behind me. It's called Libertarian Paganism, Freedom and Responsibility in Nature-Based Religions, and it comes out this October. And I wrote it like last year. It's been a long time coming, and I've been excited about it, but I've been reluctant to promote it because it still comes so far in the future. But pre-orders are available now, and pre-orders really help my sales, and they really help my promotion and like getting higher up in bestseller lists and things like that. So I thought I'd go ahead and do a video talking about this book for those of you, my loyal viewers, who may be interested in what I've been up to with my own writing, since I talk about everybody else's writing so much. For those of you who watch my channel, you'll know that I am a libertarian and I am also a pagan, and I've been both these things for a while. I was a libertarian first, and I've always been interested in religion, but I was always kind of held back and turned off by the religions that I was surrounded by. I go to church a few times, to go to Christian churches. I had some Jewish friends, and I was just like, these religions don't appeal to me. I read the entire Bible cover to cover, and I just found, first of all, they made claims that I couldn't believe in. And second of all, there was an authoritarian aspect to these religions that I always had struggled with. There was an emphasis on obedience. And as a libertarian, I'm not a very obedient person, and it always bothered me. And so when I stumbled upon paganism, I found this was just the religion for me, and I've been a happy pagan ever since. And the people I've talked to in the pagan community have been awesome and great, and I really enjoyed making connections and friendships there. But something that I noticed is that my stereotype, my preconception of what pagans would be like before I started meeting them was a little bit off. I always assumed that pagans were like completely aligned with the Democratic Party, the extreme political left wing in America, or left wing politics in other parts of the world, and they were kind of a monolith in that. That's my assumption, and it turns out not to be true at all. And I noticed in the conversations I was talking with people that they had a lot of views which I would consider to be libertarian, which is aligned with neither of the major parties in the United States and neither of the governing systems in other countries, and has a completely different way of looking at things. And while I don't know very many pagans who actually call themselves libertarians, I know a couple, but I know a lot who have interesting views which I would consider to be sympathetic to the libertarian worldview. And as I read more books and talked to more people, I discovered this to be more and more common. And I thought this was something worth exploring. And to my knowledge, no one has ever really explored it. So I thought I'd write a book on it. And that's what I did with this. And I want to state right up front, this book is not about politics. It does not endorse any political parties, any political candidates, or any legislation or anything like that. It doesn't tell you how to think about politics. It doesn't tell you who to support or what to support. It's an exploration of philosophy, the libertarian philosophy, which is a little bit tied to politics, but is not a political thing intrinsically. So if you are turned off by politics, rest assured this book is not about politics. This book is about ethics primarily, and worldview and theology and philosophy and all those things. And the main area in which I see libertarians and pagans overlapping is in their understanding of ethics. And I want to get into that just a little bit here in this video today. And I'll probably do more videos on this book as it becomes closer to the time at which it's going to be released. But the ethical overlap I find very interesting. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions about both libertarianism and about paganism. People who don't understand paganism think that they're all Satan worshipers and they're all, conducting child sacrifices and doing all these evil things, and that they don't have any good ethics. And the people who don't understand libertarians think that libertarians are just completely selfish and don't care about anyone else and only want to get theirs and get out. And neither of those things are true. Both are extremely interested in ethics, but both are not super prescriptivist when it comes to ethics. There's not a huge amount of here are the rules you have to follow. The rules are very simple, as a matter of fact, and it's kind of up for the individual to discover what they think is right and wrong and what they are willing to live with and things of that nature, which I find great. So in libertarianism, we have a thing called the non-aggression principle, which basically states that it is immoral to initiate force or aggression or the threat of violence against another person just because you want to. You can act in self-defense, but you can't force other people to do your will but just because you want them to. It's not right. So that's the guiding principle of libertarianism. My boss formulates it in a book that he wrote and I helped edit, called Don't Hurt People and Don't Take Their Stuff. Very simple, things most people should be able to agree with. And I think that's great. I think it's a great moral philosophy to live by. And if you apply that consistently, everything else sort of follows in its wake. And I was reminded very strongly when I started getting into paganism and I discovered things like the Wiccan Rede. The Wiccan Rede says, "An ye harm none, do what thou wilt." And then Aleister Crowley's famous dictum, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," which I know it doesn't exactly mean that, but there's a similarity there. There's an idea that as long as you're not hurting other people, you should be left alone to mind your own business and do what you want to do. And this is why libertarians oppose things like criminalization of drug use or criminalization of sex work and things that are really no one else's business. The stuff you want to do with your own body, the things you want to eat or drink or inject or smoke, or the people you want to sleep with or what you want to do in the bedroom, it's your business. It's not anyone else's business. And it seems like pagans have a very similar worldview in that sense. Their ethical structure is similar. And it also extends a little bit further than that. It extends in more of a guiding philosophy. I read a really interesting book by Robin Wood on the ethics of paganism called When, Why, If. And in that book, she talks about, it's not your place to tell other people what to think or how to act. You can give advice if it's requested, but giving unsolicited advice or trying to make people act as if you would want them to act is not really the right thing to do, because everybody's different and everybody has their own personality and their own goals and their own frame of reference that they're viewing the world from, and it's up to them to make those decisions. And unlike the monotheistic religions, paganism doesn't have a 10 commandments, and it doesn't have a pope, and it doesn't have a sacred text like the Bible, and it's kind of up for the individual to decide what they're comfortable with and what they're willing to live with. So there's no strict prohibition against cursing, for example, in paganism. I know some pagans who practice cursing other people who they think deserve it. And there's no threat of hell. There's no threat of prison for these people. They're allowed to do that. Other people can think what they want about it, but it's up to them to decide if they're willing to deal with the negativity that they put out in the world in that. And it's not something that I would ever do, but I know some people do it. But I like that personal responsibility that is put on the individual to decide, is this something that I am okay with doing? Is this something I can live with myself? And I think that's really important. It's the morality kind of comes from within rather from an external enforcer of some sort. And there's this great scene in the movie and in the book, A Clockwork Orange, which I love, about the morality of choice. And the point is that if choice is taken away from you, if you have no choice to be good or bad, then your good actions don't mean anything, because you're just trying to avoid pain, or you're just forced into it, trying to avoid death or trying to avoid hell. That's not really a moral action. If you're just doing it out of fear or out of self-preservation, that's not really a moral action. A moral action has to be freely chosen. And I think this is what really unites libertarians and pagans. It's this idea that we have to choose the right thing to do, not because the law tells us we have to do it, not because the Pope tells us we have to do it, not because God threatens us, but because it's the right thing to do. And that's how we want to live our lives. That's the life we want to choose to live. So this is sort of the boiled down, condensed version of where I think libertarians and pagans agree on ethics. And I think that there's a lot of overlap here in a lot of other ways. And I'm going to keep this video short. I'll do some more videos on various other chapters in the books and other things that I think are important. But the point I want to make is that I think that libertarians and pagans are natural allies, and they would get along really well if they would talk to each other and understand each other better. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. And I think a lot of people are kind of groping and searching for meaning in their lives. And they're trying to figure out where they fit in politically. They're not happy with the options that are being presented to them by the major parties. They feel left out. They feel politically homeless. They're looking for something else. And at the same time, I think a lot of people are feeling spiritually homeless. They're not happy with the major monotheistic religions, but they're also dissatisfied with just gross materialism and this atheistic philosophy that there's only science and there's only biology and nothing else matters. I think that people are dissatisfied with all those choices that they're being given, and they're searching for something more. And I would encourage people who are feeling that way to look into alternatives. And maybe you've heard of libertarianism and paganism, and you're interested in them, and you don't know much about them, but you should look into them. And if you're a libertarian searching for a religious identity, check out paganism. It might appeal to you. If you're a pagan searching for a political identity, check out libertarianism. It might appeal to you. Again, I'm not trying to convert anyone. I'm not trying to tell anyone what to think. That's absolutely against what I believe in. But I think that this information being out there for people who are interested in it is important. And I would like people to know about it. And I'd like people to buy the book. That would help me out a lot. So the book comes out on October 27th. It's being released through Moon Books, which is a subsidiary of Collective Ink Books, and that it's recently changed hands, so it took me a minute to remember it. It's going to be available on Amazon.com, of course, and all other major online retailers and in bookstores. But if you don't want to buy from Amazon.com, which I understand, you can go directly to the publisher, and there's going to be links in the description down below, so you can find those, and you can pre-order now. If you're thinking about buying it, I encourage you to go ahead and pre-order, because as I said, that helps a lot with the rankings, that it shows up on the list. It helps it get promoted to more people. And I'd love to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please let me know if you're interested in this book and any questions you have for me or anything else you'd like me to talk about. I talked about ethics today, but I'm going to talk about other things as well in the future. So check it out, Libertarian Paganism by me, Logan Albright, available October 27th. I would appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this review, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me comments down below letting me know your thoughts. And I'll be back again next week with another book review for you. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Logan Albright, and I will catch you later.